Hello everybody, welcome to Monday Morning Must Knows. My name is Merlin Rothfeld, and here are 3 important things to pay attention to for the upcoming trading week. Now last week we talked about the continuation of earnings, right? 2 weeks ago we had the bank stocks come out, great numbers. This week, or our past week, we had Netflix and you also had Tesla reporting. A lot of volatility there. It gets even better this week. I think that this is the motherlode of earnings season coming up in the upcoming trading week. Let's start things off there. We have 900 companies reporting earnings this week. That's right, 900. And on Monday, we start things off with the F in FAANG, Facebook reporting earnings. They had a pretty ugly slide the last few days of the last week, so we'll see if that continues here. You also have Kimberly-Clark, you have Logitech, and CDNS. Now keeping on with the FAANG stocks, Tuesdays brings us Google and Microsoft. Yes, I know Microsoft's not one of the FAANG stocks, but it should be. We just can't come up with an acronym that incorporates the M yet. So we've got Google and Microsoft, General Electric, AMD, Twitter, Visa, Lockheed Martin, and dozens of other major names reporting on Tuesday. But we're not done. Let's go to Wednesday where we have Boeing, you have Ford, Bristol-Myers, General Motors, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Align, and maybe a sprinkling of some important names you may have heard of on Thursday. There's a company called Apple, AAPL. I think that's Apple. We also have Amazon. These are the gigantic behemoth corporations out there, trillion-dollar market cap companies. They're reporting on Thursday. You also have MasterCard, Caterpillar, Philip Morris, Starbucks, Merck. Oh, but we're not done yet, and I'm almost out of breath. Friday brings you AbbVie, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Phillips 66, and Clorox. So you name an industry sector, it's represented this week, and I have cherry-picked some of the big names. There are literally hundreds of other companies. So as a cautionary note, be very careful. Do not trade these earnings announcements. They're just too risky. I'll give you an example. You may go into an earnings announcement thinking, this stock's going to do amazing, and they do amazing, and they get crushed the opposite direction. You're going, wait a minute, you had great earnings. How did that happen? I'll give you an example. Go back and look at a chart of Snapchat last week. Last week they reported earnings and their earnings were unbelievable. They beat their earnings expectations by 180%. That means huge surprise. Nobody expected them to make that much money. And you're thinking this stock's going to soar. It dropped 30% on that news announcement, like that. Why? Bad forecasts going forward. So earnings announcements, they're very dangerous. Probably want to stay away from those from a risk management perspective. There is opportunity there, but is it really worth the risk for you? All right, let's look at some other things that might be moving our markets. We'll start things off with central bank rates. Now, of course, the main focus is on the U.S. However, there are some interest rate announcements going on around the world. We start things off on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Bank of Canada. That's right, BOC. Now, they have an expectation to stay at 25 basis points, so no change expected there. You also have the Bank of Japan, which is right now at negative 0.1% and has been there for years, so really don't expect any change there. The only issue here is the Bank of Japan has been kind of back and forth with regards to when they're going to announce, so it's tentative for Wednesday. And finally, you've got the ECB, the European Central Bank, reporting Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, so those are some major announcements. Now, it's not so much about what the rate actually will be. You can see here Bank of Canada is at 25 basis points, the ECB at 0. Don't expect any changes there, even though we saw New Zealand raise here recently. It's more about what they say about their economies going forward. And since we've had the Canadian dollar on a downtrend, the euro on a downtrend, who knows if their announcements might stall those or continue to push those trends even further. So be careful with those rate announcements at those times. And finally, my personal favorite of the week, cryptocurrency. Now, why is this so important? Well, we had history in the making last week. That's right. On Tuesday, you had the ProShares ETF finally go public. It's officially traded on the exchanges in the United States, meaning the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has said, you know what, we're okay with a Bitcoin ETF, here you go. Now, there's 2 types of ETFs here. You can have a futures-backed ETF or a physical-backed ETF. Now, personally, I would say the physical-backed is the way to go because it actually owns the securities. So, for example, if we have a Bitcoin ETF that's actually backed by Bitcoin, to me, that's a better vehicle. Right now, what was approved by the SEC is not physical-backed, it's futures-backed. So the ProShares one that came out is futures-backed. They did over $1 billion worth of volume in the first day alone. A lot of action there, and this creates some problems. So for those of you who are futures traders or who understand the futures markets, there's things called contango. There's things called backwardation, and this could skew the price of those exchange-traded funds, which to me adds a little bit of risk. But at least we've opened that floodgate, and now we have Bitcoin futures traded on the U.S. exchanges, as other exchanges around the world have already had them. Now, why is this important? Well, there are two more that are going to be coming out this week. You have the FAANG and you have the Valkyrie ETF for Bitcoin. So now we'll have some competition in that space to the tune of about 3 Bitcoin ETFs, and there might be more in the future. Why am I excited? Well, first off, the door has been opened, and now we have these vehicles traded, so we can put them in our IRAs or day trade those, whatever we want. We can go short them if we like. However, I think it's going to open the door to new ones. So we already have Ethereum futures on the CME. Well, we'll probably have an Ethereum ETF here rather soon, and that could do the same thing that it did for Bitcoin. Bitcoin obviously soared to all-time highs. Ethereum may follow suit here. So over the coming weeks, it would not surprise me to see the Ethereum ETF be announced and be live on our markets here as well. So exciting news in that cryptocurrency space as we're starting to see ETFs represented for Bitcoin, and I think in the future you'll see Ethereum and Ripple and Litecoin, Stellar, Solana, all these different ones, which now gives the opportunity for us as investors to participate in those markets without actually physically buying cryptocurrency and taking on that risk. That, my friends, is your Monday Morning Must-Knows. We'll see you next week.